Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Why why have we seen the church taken advantage of? Why is it so easy? Why is it so easy for the church to be taken advantage of? We see it. We've been seeing it when you if you're not saved, you're seeing it on social media, wide open. To those who are saved, you're seeing it, or you've been, or you experience it in your life. The church easily take advantage of. It's amazing because the only way a church can be taken advantage of is from the top, not from the bottom. Because the church can deal with people who go to the church or people who belongs to the church. But when it comes down to the leader, unless he was voted in, he can be dealt with. Listen to this here. For a minute here. Well, let's see. I want to dive into this, but let me share to the groups real quick. I am sharing blessings all. God bless. Blessings all. God bless you. Now, when you look at social media and you see the church and you see different churches and um, you see different leaders over the church and you see the congregation, the board, and especially when there's a problem that is going on, there's problems that is going on. Why is it so easy for church people to be they can be like easily taken advantage of in the church? They can be taken advantage of. I want you to think about this for a moment because many of us have had that experience that someone took advantage of you in the church, financially, mentally, physically. There's a lot of people who has been taken advantage of, and they're taken advantage of through um, mental, physical, financially. And you're seeing it on social media, and it's playing out as clear as day how these leaders take advantage of the people in the church. Now, the people in the church, a lot of people say, well, the church, they be the people who go to the church, they be the problem, or the people that belongs to the church is the problem. But see, you got to understand something about church. Church is for people who are dealing with issues, that have issues. The leader and the board, especially the leader is supposed to be a person who is well trained by God to deal with many problems. If the person, if that leader does not believe in God, is using him, then it will amount to him dealing with the problem, and he will become frustrated or mad or see that he needs some type of vacation or whatever. But when God is using someone, how would God do it? Why are people being taken advantage of? Why is it so easily? And I want to show you why it's so easily for people to be taken advantage. It's amazing because if you can be taken advantage and you're a believer and you've been taken advantage of in relationships or in this world, on a job you've been taken advantage of, and then you go to church and you've been taken advantage of. And you've been taken advantage of in friendships and family and everything. You've just been taken advantage of. Well, I got something very important that you ought to hear, because I want you to understand that, you know, the church cannot be taken advantage of. But people can be in a place in their life or in a position, which means they can be in error or they can be a lack of knowledge. Listen to this here. I want you to see this here. This is very interesting. In John chapter 6, verse 63, excuse me. John chapter 6, verse 63. I want you to hear this out. It says, it is the spirit that quicken, the flesh profits nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit, they are life. Now, I want you to think about this now, because the church has been taken advantage of. You've been taken advantage of. People have been taken advantage of. But I want you to understand that the way that Christ sees things, he see that if everybody was, or if the person who is experiencing disadvantage, or someone is taking advantage or abusing them in the church, God always, and this is facts, God will lead you. God always leaves a door open that you may escape that church, that you may escape that pastor, that you may escape the people that are abusing you within those facilities. I want you to really listen to this, because we're watching so much on social media that reveals and points to someone being taken advantage and abused in church by a leader. By a leader. And there's people still in that church. There's people still following that leader. Somehow, some way, they still believe in them. But I want you to listen to this right here in in chapter 6, John chapter 6, verse 63. It says, it is the spirit that quickens. So even though you're in the church and this preacher is abusing people, if you see this, God is revealing to you a way of escape. If you see this abuse, because you're not going to be able to come against the board or not, you might send your letters, you might talk to somebody, and I have seen this happen a lot. Whenever they have a pastor, and unless it comes all the way out on social media, unless the police get involved, and sometimes when the police get involved, they still will honor that pastor. So I want you to understand that what God is doing for you is showing you to escape this abuse, to escape being under this type of pressure, and especially if you have your family members. Some people might say, well, I've been going here all my life. My grandmother been going here all her life. Things change. Why would someone stay in an abusive relationship? Why would people stay in an abusive place? Job, relationship, home, abuse. And then in the church, you really have to understand that the church, I want you to understand what Jesus did for his church. I want you to understand his church. Don't think that every building is his church because it has a steeple, because it has a name that signals that this is a church. That doesn't matter to God because he's not coming back for that. He's coming back for souls that believe in him, that believe in his word. Do you understand? God comes to heal, not destroy. He comes to heal, not, you know what I'm saying? Not to kill. Listen to this here. I want you to listen to this here. In John chapter 6, verse 63, it says, it is the spirit that quickens, the flesh profits nothing. Listen to this. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Jesus is revealing that the church that he have, will begins to give life. It will touch lives. It will change lives. There's many people that are seeing the abuse and they're not wanting to go to church. Some people probably was thinking about going to the church, but seeing, heard abuse, it changed their whole mind. Well, I want those people and you to understand that because that church fails, that don't mean that's God's church. I want you to understand, because God does not put leaders in place that will fail. You can say whatever you want to say, how you want to say it. If they do, they will pay the cost, just like a police officer, FBI, or teacher, people that is important, that's supposed to have integrity, supposed to have moral standards, supposed to be someone you can trust. Even pastors supposed to be people you can trust. You're supposed to be able to trust them around your kids, trust them with your life, trust them if you're in a hospital, trust them with your sick mother or your sick dad or your sick grandmother. You're supposed to be able to trust them. Listen to what I just said. Police officers, nurse, lawyers, any leader that calls himself a leader, we supposed to trust them. They supposed to be able to give us the right standards to trust them. The church is taking advantage because people are hurting. People comes there to trust. This is the reason why their trust is messed up. The trust is messed up. And people want to say, you got some people say, well, he just a man or she just a woman, and you know, they human beings, but that's not how it's made. Because you got to understand, as a police officer and an FBI or a politician, they supposed to have standards. They supposed to have standards. So if they supposed to have standards, then they supposed to be, through their standards, that's how you trust them. If you give an excuse to them, then you're looking over someone you can trust. You're looking over someone that God has for you to trust, because you accept this clown that keeps on breaking the laws of trust. And you want to keep this clown in your life. And this is what is causing you to miss what you can trust in. The Bible talks about administration that is in the earth that is for those who do evil. When you have police officers who deals with people who do evil, which means they deal with people who has lost that listen to this, that the society has lost faith in. If a person is a pedophile, touches your children, or you, or a friend, If the police does not have integrity and trust, you can't trust the police to be able to deal with someone who has lost trust and faith within the sight of the people. God created a system. He's created a system that he calls the preachers. He calls them to be at a standard of trust. A standard of trust and integrity for the people who are hurting. Listen to this. Hurting people don't need any type of human being. Hurting people don't realize you're hurting because of excuses. You're hurting because of excuses, which means misinterpretation of something that is true and factual, which means a standard of life. Listen to what I'm saying now, because it makes sense. Why would you want someone child to grow up and be a killer because they hate the color or they hate how you look? They hate what you believe in. There's no trust in that. That means the way society is made, even though it's weak, society is looking for someone they can trust to help them be strong, especially in areas that they are weak at, is to help them be strong. So when you have a church and you have a leader who lies for years to the congregation, not only lies to the congregation for years of his hidden skeletons, not only lies for years, he begins to lie on the very victim. He begins to destroy the victim. The victim now, he begins to destroy their character. A pedophile will destroy character. A person that you don't trust will destroy your character if you stay following them, if you stay worshiping with them, when you stay being in the midst of them, they will destroy your character. If God cannot trust a man or a woman, if God cannot trust them, now watch this. If God show you that this person is doing these things and they're a leader, and they're supposed to be where you can trust them with your kids, you're supposed to be able to be in front of a minister that your grandkids and your children can trust. That's how powerful God's system is. But sometimes you got people, they not in it for God. Listen to what I just said. They're not in it for God's reasons. They're in it for their reason, so they're going to accept the person who is untrustworthy. Oh, I like him. I like the way he wears hair. I like the way he hums. I like the way he sings. They missing the whole point of ministry. They missing the whole point of why Jesus died. Jesus died that he may create people in trust, that he may take them from being weak to being strong, to being sinful to being sinless. This is the gospel of Jesus Christ. It makes so much sense. But when you're around people who's not into making sense, listen to what I'm saying. You can be around people they're not into making sense. And their whole philosophy, they can take the word of God and fit it in their own philosophies of not making sense. Listen to this here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Look, this is so powerful. John chapter 6, verse 64. John chapter 6, verse 64. Listen to this here. Jesus is speaking. And Jesus says, but there are some of you that believe not. Listen to what I'm saying. Oh my God. Oh my God. Listen. Do you believe in trust? Do you believe that trust should be important in everything? If you go to the grocery store and they put the date on that milk, and you look at the date on that milk, do you trust them? You trust that they put the date on there and the right milk according to that date that you are buying with your money. You trust that they're being honest with you. You trust that they're being honest with the bread that you're buying. You trust that you're buying the canned goods and you trust in them. When you go to the service station, put gas in your car, you're trusting them that they're not putting water in there. You trusting them when you go someplace and you buy bubble gum for your children, that they're not outdated, or the bread is outdated. Or you go somewhere to buy shoes and you look at the shoes and you're trusting them that if you buy these shoes for your children or for you, that these shoes will hold up to a certain extent. Do you understand? What I'm trying to get you to understand, that if you can go into a salon, if you can go into a salon or go and get wax, go to get a massage, why in the world you don't expect the leader? Why? Listen to this. If you get mad with people dealing with your flesh, and right here in verse 63, John and chapter 6, it says, it is the spirit that quickens, the flesh profits nothing. So if you more concerned of what people can do for your flesh than your soul, you messed up. You got it wrong. I want you to think about what I'm saying. If you go in there, you argue because they didn't give you the massage according to the hours, or you're going to get your hair done, you've been sitting there for 2 hours and you came to your appointment and you mad, and you got a right to be mad, but you tell me what you trying to tell me, that you don't see your soul for being more important than your hair? You don't see your soul being more important than your wax job, or your pedicure and your manicure, your massage, or the clothes you get tailored, or the suits you buy, the shoes you buy, the job you work on. You tell me that all of those things, you're angry, you'll fight, you'll get mad, you'll get a lawyer, you'll do all these things to fight for something that profits less than your soul. And you telling me that you are in a church, or you on social media and you following people, and you know it's the truth, that they're not to trust. Some of these ministers that you follow, you wouldn't even let them in your house. But you will go to a massage, don't even know if the person got AIDS. You don't know if the person is a pedophile. You don't know nothing about them. You're going to get manicure, you're going to get your hair done. You don't even know where the hair came from. You don't know if they cleaned the clippers. You don't even know if they cleaned the combs. You don't even know if the person had lice before you sat there, or had bad dandruff before you sat there, or had cancer in their hair. You don't know nothing. You don't know if somebody is working in the McDonald's place. I went to this restaurant yesterday to pick up some food. I think I still have the picture. There was a line so long at this restaurant. People was in line. Listen, they was in line before it. There was 30 minutes. There was about 40 minutes to 30 minutes in line before the doors opened up. Before the doors opened. They came in like a church or somebody, I guess they was from a different state. Listen to what I'm saying. How many times have you went to a restaurant and you pick up the same spoon, you're in a line, and you putting food in your plate, and someone behind you is taking that same spoon and digging into that. And I understand now their hands not touching the spoon. I understand that. But your hand is touching their hand. All them people in line, your hands is touching their hands. Their hands touch. Listen to what I'm saying. You might say, well, I wear gloves or I use sanitize and stuff like that. I guarantee you, you have been somewhere and you have touched something and you didn't have no sanitize. What I'm trying to get you to understand, how in the world that you can trust this world, but you don't put the right trust in someone for your soul? How? How would you stand up for someone and this is all you can say? Well, they just human beings. You're not going to say that if you find out that the spoon that you picked up and somebody told you and said, hey, I seen them all in their nose and they ain't washed their hands. And before you can get out of there, you sticking your hands in the plate to taste the food. And your hand has touched that same end of the spoon of hundreds of people, and you don't know where their hands been. But you trust that. You go to the gas pump. Hundreds of people pick up that gas pump. I'm telling you this, you go somewhere in this world without your sanitizer, without your gloves, without your mask, and you touch things that are over thousands of people has touched, and you don't know where their hands been. But you listen, you make that so important more than your soul. You don't know that to God, a leader is so, listen to this. A leader is so nasty to God who defiles his trust. You got to understand what I'm saying now. When a leader defiles your trust, he been to defile God's trust first. The leader is just like that spoon you touch. And all the people that he have defiled, the people you ain't seen, the people been in played with, all behind the pews and at night and stuff and done like, do you think he gonna come out there and be fresh and be right with you? Right about your soul? How in the world you go to the doctor and you want to know that the doctor know what he's talking about for your flesh now to be on the earth? Then hesitate and doesn't care what type of man or woman you listen to. You treat your soul. See, this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. The reason why the things of God is not important is because you treat everything else that is filthy. You treat everything else that is filthy and nasty. So many people got in cancer. So many people got germs and infections. And so many children got messed up. They don't even know where certain germs come from. All because everybody is touching something. But you don't even see your soul more valuable than your flesh, more valuable than your hair, more valuable than your skin. You don't see it. And this is the reason why you see many people sick. This is the reason why you see many people, there's a lot of things going on. It's because their soul, they're not value the word of God. You can't value the preacher. You got to value the word, but you got to understand, God gives you a vessel for the word to come. You got to understand, it's no way that God is going to give you someone who is preaching about souls saving and they are running them off. They are killing the souls. How in the world you sit in a church because you love the way they sing? All of those things that you love, they're a delusion. They are the things that they use to get you. They just like when you thinking about, man, I sure wasn't gonna get me a sandwich. And you go there and buy your sandwich, you don't even know if they touch your meat, you don't even know if they touch your lettuce, you don't know what they done in the back, you don't know if they touched it before they put it on the line, you don't know nothing. You don't know if they had a cold, you don't know if they had nothing. Listen, I'm telling you just like this. I'm not trying to be gross, but I'm telling you just like this. I'm telling you the truth. I know I'm telling you the truth. So how is it you don't care about your soul? This is why the church is weak. Because they care about everything more important outside the church than in the church. And the leader, especially the leader, they'll wipe his shoes, they'll put his kids in college, and they know he ain't no good. They know she ain't no good. They care nothing about their own souls. And these leaders, they like that. You know why? Because you're a sucker. You ain't gonna believe they thinking that, but if they treat, listen to this, if they sleeping around, if they can have your daughter, if they can get you, they'll get you. And some of you they already got. And when they do get you, they put a spell on your life. Why is the church easily taken advantage of? It's because we give ourselves to the wrong things. We make things that is really less important, more important than our soul. Listen to what Jesus said here, and then I'm gonna close here. It says, listen to this. In John chapter 6, verse 64 and 65, it says, but there are some of you that believe not. This is Jesus speaking. It says, for Jesus knew from the beginning who they were that believed not and who should betray him. So what Jesus is saying, you need to be just like him. You need to know if that preacher believes in me, that speaker believe in me or believe in me not. He said, because God is telling you, I know if they believe in me and if they don't believe in me. So you got to want to know, listen, you got to want to know your soul is more important than this stuff I hear that you're looking for in this life, and the things that you right now you're in church, you want to be at the lunch and say, man, we need to get there quick. We need to get in line. We need to go there and get in line. You said you're using the same plates, silverware that they've been having it for years. You don't know what goes on in the back. You're trusting that they will wash their dishes, wash their spoons. And even if you receive plastic, you're trusting the manufacturer. They never touched the spoons when they put them in the box. You're hoping that the machine never broke down and they had to do it by hand so they can keep the production going. You're hoping all these things, you're making this world perfect. People have made, listen to this, people have made United States, they have made Canada, they have made Russia, they have made this whole world, Japan, they made it perfect. More perfect than they sold. And everything is defiled. That's why God says, if you pray over the food, and a lot of people don't even pray in faith. God said, if you pray over your food, this right here will protect you. If you pray in faith. You know why he says that? It's because he knows man. The same way you can check yourself. You get to the place you don't feel like doing something that you know you need to do what's right, but you're trying to take shortcuts. How many people you think are taking shortcuts in those pork chops or those steaks or those the seafood that you like and everything? How you not know that they're not taking shortcuts? You don't know. But God is telling you every man is a liar. He's telling you every man is a liar. Somebody is getting the crawfish out there, got a cold, and they sneezing on the stuff and they washing it off. But then the water is not 100% clean. No water is 100% clean. But you want to believe it. But you go to church or you listen to these preachers and prophets like your soul is not important. Jesus says here in verse 65, and Jesus said, therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me except it were giving unto him of my Father. You know what that means? We can play church. We can be for real. We can be for real. And Jesus is telling you now. He's telling us now, it's clear as day. See, our soul is more important to Jesus than us, than is important to us. This is the reason why Jesus should be more important to us. The things of God, pureness should be more important to us. Living right should be more important. You know why? Why? Because this what is the only thing that is pure. It's what Jesus has done in our life. Us being born again is pure. Do you understand? What Jesus has done in your life is purer than anything that you think in this earth is pure. Anything that you trust in this earth, that you go out, your leisure, your business, your family, what's more important and pure is your salvation. So God is looking and seeking for those who will seek him for his pureness, to be in their life, to die to this world. But you want to continue? Some of you want to continue. But we read the word. It says, the Father knows. That's all we got. Listen, that's all we got to trust. The Father knows. Some people used to tell me this long time ago, especially when I was young. Well, I know that Pastor so-and-so is messing around with Sister so-and-so, and his wife died, and I just know that he's a good man. He's a good man. He's been preaching a long time. I know that God forgives him, and I know that he's gonna have to deal with God. But I like going to the church, and my mama, my grandmama, and granddaddy, we all been to the church. I was raised up in the church, this church right here. And see, what you don't understand, God don't care nothing about that. He has no particular. He says, his word says, the flesh profits nothing, which means what you think and how you see it, your opinion, your theology, your seminary, your philosophy, your ancestors' sayings, God don't care, because he knows what he has done in your life is pure. What God has revealed to you is pure. All he asks for his children to do is come after him, which means come to him that he may make you pure. Now, he made you pure through salvation. Now, what God has to do is reveal to you that you may believe, so that you'll be able to walk in what you believe. It just says here, but there are some that believe not. You're going to believe what I said, or you're not going to believe. You're going to believe this word, this message, or you're not going to believe. I'm going to stop there. That is powerful. Oh my God, that is so powerful. That is the reason why church people and the church is so easily snared, so easily taken advantage of. Is because they're not taking personal their soul more than this world, more than their lust, more than their desires, more than these things. And this is why they're not. That's why they can go in there and this man or this woman, they can preach in kind of way, they can know that they live in kind of way, they're doing this. It's because, and see, they don't understand. God is coming back for a church without a spot or wrinkle. And you might say, well, I'm saved by grace. I'm covered by the blood. I'm sanctified. But you trying to tell me that you don't remember the other part, that God is going to judge you by your works? So if you sanctify and all that stuff, but your works is the opposite, that means that God is going to say none and void what he done. Why? Because it don't affect you. That means you don't believe it. If it affects you, it's going to affect your walk. It's going to affect your talk. And this is what you're going to be judged. Did it affect you? Did it affect you to walk, to talk, to think, so that God may use you as a light to those who wants it? You might not understand what I'm about to say, but God is not worried about those who don't want it. Listen, those who don't want it, those who don't want pureness, those who don't want to seek him for his righteousness, those who don't want to change. You think God's sitting around and worrying? I just read here. He says he knows them. He knows them already. He knew them before they came into the church. When God brought them into the church, he knew that, listen, he has given a chance. Many people God has given a chance. Some of you know people that God has given a chance and they have died without God. They started with God and they died without God. And you know, man, you know a lot of people, a lot of y'all know, listen, y'all know that God is still doing the same thing. He's giving a chance. He's giving a chance. He's giving the church a chance now. He's giving you a chance. You go into the church, he's telling you to come out. He said, stop following these people. They're not for your soul. I want your soul. The Lord said, I have your soul. I want your soul. I want to purify you. I want to get you ready for my coming. Oh my, that's powerful. Oh man, that's powerful. Listen, God bless you. And definitely meditate over this one here. This is so powerful. And I see you in a little bit. I have a few more that we're going to do. Hopefully, I can do this all throughout the day, coming to you with the power of God, with the change of God, that he may change someone and he might catch on and be touched by the Spirit of God, and that they may be touched and turned around in the name of Jesus. Amen. To live for the Lord. Amen. Talk to you soon. God bless you.